So with the draw of the Swiss stage happening yesterday, I thought now would be a really good time to look at the claim that some people have made that this could be exploited by Europe because of the way the draw works. So there are a few caveats to this video. We're going to start off by not using like an actual prediction, but like assuming the kind of the worst view of the West, and then we're gonna do a more prediction version. But it's also worth stating that Riot haven't actually done anything yet in terms of clarifying how the draw for round 2, round 3, and round 4, etc. are going to work, other than winners versus like people on the same score are going to play each other. So I've sort of partially been inspired by CS:GO, partially not. We'll sort of explain it as it goes through. So as you can see, we've got the standard matchups. We've got BLG KT, C9 Mad, D plus versus G2, Fnatic LNG, obviously G2 D plus, GAM Genji, and JDG BDG, etc. etc. And so for this first prediction, I assume that like every time Europe played every time the West played like a Chinese or Korean team, they'd lose, and for everything else, it would just be based on seeding. I think I might have messed up the C9 Mad Lions and had Mad Lions winning, but it's not really that important for the sake of it. It's all about like just giving a rough outline of what might happen. So as you can see with the first round, I had BLG beating OKT. As you can see, I messed up. I had C9 losing to Mad. But yeah, you can see D plus beat G2, Fnatic lost to LNG, GAM lost to Genji, etc. etc. Right? Not that important. So round 2, for this, I just use the fixtures like directly below. So like because because BLG beat KT and D plus and the next winners, they play each other. So you can see like the matchups for this aren't that bad. You've got BLG D plus, D9 Fnatic, G2 GAM, Genji JDG, KT NRG. Like they're not bad matchups for the West in general. Again, you could have BLG moving on to 2 wins, C9 moving on to 2 losses, Fnatic going 1-on-1, G2 going 1-on-1, GAM going 0-2. Like you can see it's not that unrealistic. We're gonna breeze through this one a bit because it's mostly about round 5. Like this is mainly just showing that like even if like the worst comes to worst, like and Europe can only beat itself, well, the West can only beat itself plus GAM. Like it's not the end of the world. As you can see, round 3 matchups. In terms of the ones you want to look at here, like you've got BLG playing JDG potentially for a qualifier. The beauty of round 3 is that it will give you like theoretically the top 4 teams guaranteed to play each other, which will be really interesting to watch when it actually happens. But the other ones to watch out, you've got like C9 GAM for elimination game, which will be obviously best of 3 now rather than best of 1, which is really interesting. Obviously again GAM C9. Then you've got Team Liquid NRG as an elimination game, so only 1 NA team potentially going home in the first round. And then the other 2-0 is Tier 1 LNG. Like, you've got some decent games coming up. And so, like, even with my prediction model, you only have GAM and Team Liquid going home here. JDG and T1 securing their self through. Obviously, as the first seed from China and the second seed from Korea. Obviously, I did have JDG playing Genji in the last round, which is why the first round of Korea didn't make it through. For that, it could have been either of them winning. It didn't really matter. The same point would have stood. The same team would have beaten BLG. Like, that's not really relevant. So that means round 4 matchups. You've got some insane ones like BLG Genji still in the 2-1 bracket, which will be a very strong bracket. You've got G2 C9 in the 1-2 bracket as well. You've got some good matchups there. And so with that, I had BLG obviously lost to Genji. Genji were the first seed in Korea. So you had some good teams coming through. In terms of going out, you had BDS losing to Fnatic, as well as Cloud9 losing to G2. I think those are quite good matchups for the West. Like, again, so far, we've only had 3 Western teams eliminated, and they were all eliminated to other Western teams. Like, I don't think, like, there's anything, like, it shows that, like, you're going to have to play Western teams to get eliminated. Like, I think that's a good sign if you're a Western team, really. And then in game 5, like, I was looking at was like potential matchups. So you've still got you've got 6 teams that stay through for round 5. You've got BLG, D+, Fnatic, G2, NRG, and Weibo. Obviously, 3 of them have to go through. I assumed you wouldn't be able to play teams twice through this bracket. I did screw this up in the more predictive bracket, but that's not really relevant. But like, BLG could play any of Fnatic, NRG, G2, or Weibo. D+ could play NRG or Weibo. Fnatic could play BLG, NRG, G2, Weibo. Like, you can see what's going on. And like, you can see that those are not like horrifically unwinnable games. Like the fact that Fnatic could play G2 NRG, G2 could play NRG Fnatic, like NRG obviously could play G2 or Fnatic. Like those are 3 EU teams where there's a reasonable chance of them going through, and like there's a 50-50 chance of a Western team playing a Western team, so that a Western team gets through, And like this isn't a completely unrealistic like depiction of what will happen at Worlds. Like the only thing I would say is unrealistic is how much we managed to avoid like a Korean or Chinese team bombing it at the start, especially with BL1s. But like I don't think it's that unrealistic to see that like even in this sort of scenario where the worst comes to the worst, we don't beat any Eastern teams getting it through to this point other than GAM. Like I think that's actually kind of realistic. And I actually think that like the fact that we've still got a 50-50 chance of two Western teams playing each other for the last, well, basically the last spot in the quarters, sure shows that we still do have a reasonable chance. So for the next round I used, so you can see here, like I said, D plus G2 and Weibo probably all had a decent chance of getting through, like a 50-50. I did see that Billy would get through. I did say, however, that NRG Fnatic wouldn't be able to make it through with those sort of fixtures. I think that's fairly realistic. I do think maybe I'm overrating Fnatic in like the predictions for the next round, but as well. But like, it's all just a model. Like, it's not really like designed to show that like I think if G2 are going to get through even on predictions. Like, it's more just like a Western team could do this quite easily. Like the best Western team, G2 will almost stand in for the best Western team in this. So like you can see here predictions. It's a bit more predictive. It's meant to be a bit more upset. There's going to be a few more upsets in it. Like I have G2 beating D plus in this round. I think that's the only upset that I predicted. I did have KT losing to BLG. I don't think that's that much of an upset. It's 2 third seeds playing each other, right? No, second seed playing a third seed. But okay, so BLG is still the highest seed, so I don't think that's that much of an upset. I think there are people who do think KT are a better team now. But yeah, you can sort of see like how that's sort of going to work out. And then so for round 2, you can see here I've put the seeds like underneath their win streak column. And I'd use that for predicting. So whenever possible, 1 seeds would play 4 seeds, 2 seeds would play 3 seeds, that sort of thing. Like the top seeds would play the lower seeds based on it. Because in CSGO, it's not quite that logical. It's like if you beat a higher seed, you get a higher rating. If you beat a lower seed, your rating goes down. Like so, in theory, your 5 games are the same strength as everyone else's. It doesn't really work. It does mean actually that a lot of the time, like getting a singular upset as a small team just guarantees that you get an easy run through for the rest of the way. Which I'm not really a fan of, but like, I don't think Riot Games are going to put in even that much logic, so like, just attempting to apply some logic to it, just hopefully it will work. So yeah, you can sort of see, like, even in this round, like, there aren't that bad matchups. Like, obviously C9 beating JDG beating Mad means they have to play JDG, which would be horrific. They were being the lowest second seed, because only the 4th seed that got through was JDG, who were Chinese. I've only heard that LPL, like, regions can't play against each other in the first round, but I'm sort of thinking that might still apply in the second round to a lesser degree, just because of the way Riot Games tends to be with that sort of thing. But we'll see, again. That's why G2 have actually got, like, a relatively favourable match. It's not even a favourable matchup, but you know what I mean, like, a more easy matchup in in LNG. Out of the winners. Genji, I said, would be the first seed, like ahead of G2, so that's why they got the 4th seed. But yeah, you can sort of see there's still like manageable matchups, I guess. Like you got Mad playing Team Liquid with a chance of going 1-1 for both teams. So like it's not even here, like in the real predictive version, like it looks still quite manageable for both teams. You can see I had like not really too many upsets here. Round 3, like, you can sort of see that, like, it's manageable. Round 3, again, I had Genji, JDG going through. I had NRG and Team Liquid going out. Worth mentioning that NRG would have played... I actually can't work out who that is. I think it would have been BDS. Annoyingly, I skipped, like, a step here in terms of demonstrating what the results were, but I don't think it's, like, missing too much. Like, you can still work out that, like, you had an EU play an NA team for elimination. Team Liquid got eliminated by Fnatic, so that's EU playing NA again. In terms of qualifying, Genji beat a 3rd seed from China, and JDG beat the 2nd seed from China to qualify. So like you still see very strong teams playing in the upper bracket here. You can see that G2 did unfortunately play D+ again because I messed up, as I mentioned earlier. But I guess they sort of balanced it out. It doesn't really matter because, as I said, it's strongest European team playing like a strongest Western team sort of there. It's not really like G2. It's not like a fully predictive model. It's not like these are actually my predictions, although they probably are as close as you'll get to a prediction video, I guess. Maybe. It depends on what I do on the actual game day. But also, one thing that is worth like taking a look at is, like, you can still see, like, there's a lot of strong teams in. Like, I had GAM predicting an upset against NRG. So, like, and we still only had two American teams go out. And like, I don't know if that's going to happen in real life. I kind of hope it does because NRG are not good, but we'll see. Like, I think there's still some manageable fixtures in there. Like, so for round 4 games, as you can see, like there's still some very tough games. Like if you're 2-1, BLG are playing D+, but like if you're looking at the 1 and 2 games, which is the ones we're interested in as the Western teams, like C9 BDS, Fnatic Mad, G2 GAM, like the 1 and 2 games, very manageable as you get into the best of 3s for the stronger teams out of the West. And like, not only are they just like manageable games, they're like really manageable games. They're games they've played like already this season, or they're like other they're like equal teams at a similar level. So like, I think this is going to be absolutely fine. Like if you're a Western team, I think you're absolutely well and truly comfortable with this sort of bracket. And like you can see with those predictions, like I don't have any Western teams through yet. I do have Mad Lions going out because they lost. I do have like GAM joining them going out. But at the same time, you still got Fnatic, G2, BDS still there. Like, you still got 3 Western teams again in the second half. Like, it's even better than last time, maybe? No, it's not. It's exactly the same, actually, in terms of the number of Western teams still there on my prediction model versus the other one. But you can still see, like, they've got a 50-50 chance of playing, like, a Western team again in the knockouts. And, like, again, I've skipped a step, which is really annoying. I can't believe I've done that, and I forgot to check it. But you can see that, like, with that predictor model, G2 qualified by beating BDS. Fnatic go out, losing to Weibo, but that's a winnable game. Like, if the Shy's not playing properly, that is a winnable game. You also have KT beating D+ to qualify. Like, the final best of 5s, like, they're definitely winnable. Like, it only takes, like, one upset, and you're instantly, like, in a much better position. And Riot hasn't even announced how they're going to do the round 2 and round 3 bracketing stuff. So, like, it could be even better than that. Like, we could end up in a world where, like, G2 go 2-0 because they've beaten GAM and, like, NRG, or GAM and Team Liquid or something. And, like, we don't know yet. But, yeah, even on this particular model where I've, like, tried to make it semi-realistic, like, sensible as well, like, we still get 1 European team making it through. We've got 2 European teams close to making it through. The NA teams, like, only went out losing to Western teams as well. Like, I do think, like, there's definitely a reasonable chance for Europe to exploit here.